I'm Casper. I do afternoons at US 99. And with us today, our guest today, chef and owner. I'm going to read this because this is a lot, so I actually have a cheat sheet here. He's the chef and owner of Southern Revival Hospitality. That includes Lillie's Q, LQ Chicken Shack, Dixie in 1952 and a half. Chef Charlie McKenna. Give it up for Charlie.
Thank you.
Dude, thank you for being here, man.
Hey, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
This is fantastic. So I want to start out with a question. When I was a kid, I was probably 6 years old. I knew that I wanted to talk on the radio. I would sit in my bedroom and I would talk into like shoe polish. That was my microphone, seriously. And I would record I still have the tape somewhere. I'd record myself, and I always knew. When did you know you wanted to be a cook, a chef?
Probably around the age of 18.
Okay.
My family growing up was always into food. It's a Southern family from Greenville, South Carolina. So awesome. We were always like making sausages and pickles and preserving things and then cooking in the kitchen with my grandmother. Right. That's actually what Lily's is named after, my grandmother Lillie.
Oh, very cool.
So
awesome.
She's the one that kind of got me in the kitchen first when I was younger, cooking biscuits and gravy and helping out, pound cakes and whatnot.
Right.
So that kind of piqued my interest. And then when I went to Florida State, I kind of realized I wanted to be a chef. But then I knew my dad was a colonel in the military, so if I left a 4-year program, he would literally kill me. So I found out they had a good hotel restaurant management school. I got a degree from there, and then from there I went to the CIA in New York, and from there I went to work for great chefs across the country.
That's awesome.
And ended up in Chicago to first be the chef at True.
And here we are.
Yeah, so. All fine dining background, mainly in my chef side, but the barbecue side comes from obviously being from the South, and then me and my dad do this as a hobby. That's how it started, at least.
Oh, very nice.
It was like our golf together. So.
Probably so proud to see you doing this.
Oh,
awesome.
yeah.
I mean, the fact that family inspired this so much for you.
So we own a restaurant in Florida as well called Lillie's Q.
Okay.
And he actually runs that one day to day. It's like his retirement playground, basically.
Gotcha.
He's literally open like Tuesday through Saturday for like 3 hours a day or something like that.
He just goes in there, does it
It's not
for
a huge money maker,
but
but he gets to talk to people and hang out, do what he does. So.
What would you say is your favorite, out of everything, your favorite dish or favorite food to make?
I mean, I love using a grill and open wood. So anything that you can cook on a fire or grill at home, whether it be hot dogs for my daughter or steaks. She loves ribeyes as well, of course.
Right.
She likes the expensive stuff. So. So anything grilling over wood fire, and I always use real wood and charcoal instead of gas, just because of the flavor profile that you can build. So Lily's obviously has a big smoker, and then Dixie, we have a wood fire grill in there as well. So we try to build flavors through, cooking in the ashes or cooking on top of the grill grates or whatever we can to like really bring the flavor of the food out as much as possible.
Now, what's it like juggling doing this, cooking and owning restaurants?
It's tough. I mean, obviously, my passion is to be in the kitchen, and I wish I could be there all the time cooking every dish, right? But that just doesn't allow it to expand my brand or expand what I'm trying to do or open a restaurant of a style of food that I like to cook at home or enjoy. So a lot of it is just, time management and then, really relying on the staff you have. Like I have great staffs at all my restaurants. And you really have to trust those people with taking your vision and going to a different point or where you're trying to get to. So a lot of it's just having great people and then, giving them the tools they need and then also, helping them out when they can and like creating dishes or whatever I can do. But, obviously I would love to be in the kitchen every day and just work as a chef. But, I do want to own restaurants and I want to grow, Lily's, to as many people as possible. So it takes more than just me.
It's like the best of both worlds. Right
yeah.
There. Very
I get to cook when I want to, and then I get to go do the business side when I have to, basically.
Right. So Windy City Smokeout, July 14th through the 16th. You guys are going to be there, right? We're going to see you all there. It's going to be awesome.
Great event.
What can we expect from you there?
You're gonna have a lot of fun. I mean, it's gonna if you're into country music and you're into barbecue or food in general, you're gonna get to see the best barbecue teams in the country basically coming there. A lot of the people that I cook with at Memphis in May, the World Champions of Barbecue, come to Windy City Smokeout. Myron Mixon, Peg Leg Porker, ourselves, Ubons, they all cook the barbecue circuit around the country. So you're going to have, some of the best teams and best barbecue cooks in Chicago
so cool.
for an event. And along comes, the country music where you're hanging out, eating barbecue outside. It's sunny. I mean, I think it's rained a couple times, but mostly it's usually sunny and beautiful.
Clears up.
A little bit hot, but the country music's great. And then Let Us Entertain You and Bub City and who puts it on, they do a great job of like having other interactive events that you can go to. So if you're not just a total barbecue enthusiast, you can still go to this event and have lots of other things to enjoy.
Oh yeah, they actually had coffee there last year, which you can believe it. There was coffee.
It's
the smokeout.
I think it's awesome. I think it's all for the barbecue guys because we like stay up all night drinking.
It's true.
So to get through the daytime of like actually serving the food, we have to like power up on some caffeine.
Makes sense. Makes sense. So. I want to open it up for a Q&A with you guys. Hopefully you guys have some questions for Charlie.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so hold on. We'll get to you. 1 second. Let's get the mic over to you. I'm not going to jump into that real quick. All right. Pass it on down. And what's your name?
Hi. Hello? Testing.
Oh, you're good.
Okay.
It's funny because you're right there, too. So we hear you. But it's for,
My name is Paul. I'm from Missouri, so Kansas City, St. Louis, we love barbecue as well.
Yep.
I understand that there's a difference between North Carolina barbecue and South Carolina barbecue.
Yes.
Could you elaborate on that a little bit?
There's actually 3 regions between North Carolina and South Carolina. So the eastern side of the state of North Carolina is all whole hog. So they cook the whole pig, they take all the meat out of it, they chop it up, and then they toss it with this like heavy vinegar sauce, which is basically just, apple cider vinegar or white vinegar, cayenne, and a little bit of heat behind it. So that's the eastern side of North Carolina. Then you go about half the state, you go to the western side of North Carolina. They cook whole shoulders, which is just the pig shoulder, which also includes the pork butt, which I have here, which is odd because they call it a butt, but it actually comes from the shoulder. So they cook whole shoulders with just salt and pepper, but then their sauce is a tomato vinegar sauce. So still vinegar heavy, but then it adds the tomato product, and that can be ketchup, tomato paste, or whatever the place is using. Then you go to South Carolina, which had a lot of German settlers. So they still cook some whole hog and whole shoulders. South Carolina is not that much about what piece they cook, but that they use a mustard and vinegar sauce. So the German settlers came over in Germany, and sausages, they use a lot of mustard. So then they turned it into a barbecue sauce, which is also vinegar forward. Where you go to Kansas City, and it's mainly sweet forward with tomato product as well. So those are sort of the difference between those 3 regions, and then also Kansas City. And people get fanatical about them. Like family fights and wars over it.
I can imagine, seriously.
Yeah.
Very intricate. Anybody else? Question for Charlie. All right.
Hi. My friend keeps telling me to try one of those in the oven smokers, and I don't know if those work. What's your opinion on those, and is that a bust?
I think it's a good way to start. I mean, if you're into smoked foods and you want to create something at home and you don't want to go spend what I spend or somebody spends on a smoker, anywhere from $2,000 to $30,000, then it's a way to get smoked product at home. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I mean, I'm a chef, so I have techniques that I want to use, but in the end, cooking's about family, hanging out with friends. So if you can create a great meal around that atmosphere and it happens to be in your oven and you're serving pulled pork, then so be it. And if that's the best you want to do, then I feel you should go after it.
What would your advice be for someone that may be watching right now that wants to be you one day? They want to cook and they want to maybe, own as well a restaurant. What would you say to someone? Best advice how to get started and get the ball rolling?
I would say if you want to be a chef, then you should just go work for the best chefs out there.
Okay.
All right. And if you're into, let's say Mexican cuisine, then you should go work for Rick Bayless. Gotcha. Or you should go work for someone like Rick Bayless that has that pedigree behind him, has the knowledge of going to Mexico and learning. If you want to be a barbecue chef one day, then you should go work for one of the best barbecue chefs in the country.
Okay.
Cooking is one of those things where a lot of people are pushing people to school now, and I went to the CIA and paid a lot of money to do it. And I would tell you, you'll learn a lot more on the job than you will ever learn in school.
Right.
And I think that's a lot of careers, right? But I think with chefing in particular, because it's such a hands-on job, that you really need to go work for the best people that you possibly can. And if that means you want to own a diner and you think Denny's is the best diner, then you go work for Denny's. If you think you want to be some, great chef and you need to go work for Grand Atkins at Alinea, then so be it. So,
there you go. Makes sense.
but being on the job, I think, is the best advice I could give anyone that's younger or older and trying to switch careers or anything. So
there you go. Anybody else? Question for Charlie? Oh, got a couple over here. Cool.
Hi, this is Cindy. So quick question. When you talk about using charcoal and wood, where do you stand relative to that compared to the pellets?
I'm not a pellet fan, but I know there's lots of people out there that are pellet fans. Some of the teams on the circuit, let's say, cook with pellet cookers, and they do an amazing job. I prefer more lump charcoal or charcoal briquettes that are actually all natural, and then adding wood to flavor it. And that wood can be anywhere from oak, which is super strong smoky, to what I use, which is peach wood, which is a little more fruity and gives you a little more essence of peach on your product. But pellet, I know a lot of pellet cookers that are outstanding. I think it's just what you kind of start and get in the career with, and kind of who you follow is sort of where you start to cook and learn what to cook with. Like, my cooker is called a backwoods smoker that's on our trailer from Memphis, and that's sort of how I just got ingrained in the system. So that's sort of what I use. Yeah.
Great. I saw another hand, I thought. Oh, Maggie.
What is your favorite barbecue side?
My favorite barbecue side? Huh. I would have to say grits. Real stone ground grits.
Good stuff.
That have been cooked for a couple hours in cream and butter.
Any other questions for Charlie? Or are you guys all like, I'm hungry. I want to watch him make food so I can eat it. Because that's what's happening here. Anybody else? Oh.
When you're in the kitchen, do you have like a particular, I don't know, artist or like playlist that you go to when you're cooking?
So I kind of go back and forth. It can go from listening to someone heavy like Pearl Jam to someone like classical, like, what's her name? Sarah something. I forget it. I'm losing track of her name now, but Sarah Brightman. So it kind of depends on what my mood of the day or what I'm trying to cook, right? If I'm cooking something like usually fun, then I'll go with more like a Pearl Jam, but if I'm getting serious about it, then I usually put on the Brightman and have it playing in the background. But music obviously is a big part of chefs' lives, right? A lot of chefs consider themselves artists or that sort of thing. So like music has always been, I actually don't allow our cooks to listen to music in the kitchen, mainly from where I think it slows them down, right? Because then they're like listening to songs not working as fast as I need them to go. But it obviously incorporates into a lot of chefs and their careers, and you know, a lot of musicians have turned into chefs and that sort of thing. So.
Are you always expected to cook Thanksgiving dinner? Is it always on you?
Actually not. I mean, a lot of people have gotten, like, when I'm coming to their house, they get paranoid. And I'm like, obviously they don't know who I am personally, because, like, I'll eat McDonald's at midnight.
Right.
2 double cheeseburgers, extra cheese, pickle, and onions. Like, one of my favorite meals. So,
who would have thought, right?
But I usually try and bring something if I'm going to an event. I'll try to cook something and not just leave it on everyone else. But it's sort of like, when you're around food all day in restaurants and cooking all day, you don't want to go home and do it, right?
Right.
It's like the career. Like, you wouldn't want to go home and be a radio host.
That's
right?
the thing. Yeah.
So like, I'm done with that.
I hear that all the time. You know, a party. Oh, hey, the DJ's here. Hey, play some music. Like, I just want to hang out.
I'm off. I'm off right now. So it's sort of that kind of concept, right? Like, you just like, ugh. But I'll do it for people, and I enjoy cooking for my friends and family, and
awesome.
Just because you get to see the smile on their faces and how much they like it.
Sure.
And it takes a load off, like my mother or grandmother.
Oh,
so,
right.
Like, they're not working as hard, basically. But
right. So just sit back and chill and enjoy.
Sit back and chill.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Right, one last chance at a question before we move on to the actual making of the pulled pork. Oh, it's going to be good. Oh, we do have one more. All right, that's fine. Sure. Got a few
I was just going to ask, as you're looking at Windy City Smokeout, is there anything that you're going to look to try new or change up or do different this year?
So this year, normally at Windy City Smokeout, we'll do the Walking Taco, and we also do tri-tip. This year, they asked me to do something else, so we're cooking ribs and the Walking Taco. So that'll be interesting, because normally, like, tri-tip's one of the things that I'm kind of known for, especially in Chicago. So it'll be different not cooking that. And then, there's some teams coming up, one from Arizona, Little Miss Barbecue, that I've never tried their food, so I'm interested in trying their food. I just haven't got to Arizona. Yeah, I mean, you don't think of Arizona as like a huge barbecue state. But supposedly he does amazing brisket, learned in Texas, so I'm looking forward to trying his stuff. It's fun to, like, a lot of these people you see around at different events and whatnot, so it's kind of like a reunion when you get there. Like, when everyone's setting up their trailers, so like, you're going to each people's booth. Oh, how's it been the last couple months? You're taking shots and making fun about how their barbecue sucks, even though it's really good.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, what do you guys think here? We should move on to Lillie's Q pulled pork.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
So obviously, at Memphis and May, the World Championships, you can cook whole shoulder, ribs, and whole hog. Whole shoulder is the category that we've done. We've won 2007 and 2016. We won the World Championships. So pulled pork actually goes in the Walking Taco. So we're going to show you a somewhat easy way to do this at home. If you have a smoker or you have an oven, it doesn't really matter. It can be either way. So like I said, this is the pork butt. Obviously, it comes from the shoulder. It's like the back part of the shoulder here. You have the picnic that is closer to the actual shoulder piece. This is the most popular meat for pulled pork. 2 reasons. One, it has a lot of intermuscular fat, all right, which is great for pork. And 2, it's usually a uniform size, so they all kind of cook at the same time, all right? And that's a big thing in barbecue, obviously, watching. So when the pulled pork or butt comes to you, basically it has this like fat cap on it. Some people that I feel are less experienced say that you should cook with that piece of fat on the meat, and then it drips through the meat and makes it juicy. I would say it makes it greasy. All right. So at all the restaurants, we take off the fat cap, and you kind of just put your knife through, then you kind of just start to slowly pull it back as you trim. All right. And what you want to get to is you'll see the red meat showing. So when we put our rub on the meat, it won't adhere to the fat. So that's why I like to take it off. Because if anyone knows barbecue, they've also heard the term called bark. And that's what we try to build with the rub and the fat cap off. So I take it down pretty deep, and you'll see some of the meat comes off. No big deal, right? The fat comes off, right? Now, at the restaurant, we'll take that fat, we collect it, we render it down. You know, we'll dump it in the fryer or something, making French fries. So obviously, pork fat is very delicious. Probably not the best for your health. So if you're a healthy eater, you know, stay away from that. But you can see the pork butt comes pretty much almost cleaned all for you, right? So we clean the top off. We take a little bit of the fat off. Anything hanging you want to trim off. A lot of people get scared when they're starting to work with knives. But as long as it's sharp, sharper the better, right? Because the reason you get cut with a dull knife is because what happens is you start saw, and then it snaps right through, right? And then that's when it clicks your finger or something. So we clean a little fat off the back of the pork. If any of you guys or ladies cook in barbecue competitions or watch the shows on TV, you'll hear them talk about what they call the money muscle, which is sort of what they turn into the competitions. That's basically this piece here on the back end of the pork butt, and you can tell with all the fat and striations through it, when it renders down, it's going to be nice and juicy and soft. So that's what they use. So at Lillie's, we clean the pork butts. Then what we do is we take our sauce Carolina Gold, which is a South Carolina mustard and vinegar sauce, and we just basically take a pastry brush and we brush it on. And the reason we do this is because the mustard and the vinegar in the sauce opens up the pores in the meat to accept the rub and accept the smoke. Right? And you'll see this done by a lot of different people and a lot of different teams. We rub it on. So if you're at home and you wanted to use French's mustard, or you like golden spicy brown, or you like gold from Lillie's Q, it doesn't really matter. The good thing about cooking that I find is so much fun is yeah, there's recipes, but you don't necessarily have to follow them exactly, right? If you feel like there's something else that you would rather use, then use it. Make it fun and interactive and enjoy it, right? Because it's not supposed to be stressful or problem-ridden. So Lillie, we just brush on a little bit to coat it, and then we take what our rub is called Carolina Dirt. And the reason I called it that is because if you've ever been to South Carolina, where I'm from, the dirt or mud is red in color. So this rub, obviously, when you're doing pulled pork, you want to do a sugar-based rub, okay? Now, lemon pepper or any of those type of rubs are mostly salt-based, and when you taste them, you can really taste the salt in them. That's for more quick cooking. So like if you were grilling a steak or grilling something like that, then you would use that. When you're cooking longer times, we do have salt in this rub, but it's mainly sugar with paprika, cayenne, oregano, basil, those sort of things. And the reason that helps build the outer crust bark. The other thing you want to do with a rub, even though it's called a rub, is you never want to rub it into the meat. Okay, some people actually say you rub this in. I disagree with that notion, and the reason why is because there's salt in here, and salts are crystals. When you rub it in, the salt crystals will kind of leave little knife slits in the meat, basically. So when that happens, the moisture can evaporate a lot faster and easier than if you do not rub it in. So we take this, we're going to put a heavy rub on it. And the reason we do heavy, obviously, is because this piece of meat will cook for 8 hours at a low temperature, 225 degrees. So this is the prepping. Some people will tell you you can do this the night before, put it in the refrigerator, and then re-rub it right before it goes into the smoker or oven. We, at the restaurant, I don't feel like that adds much flavor profile, so we literally do this right before they go in the smoker. Now, if you were at home, you could easily just put this in your oven at a 225-degree oven, right? If you didn't want to get, or if you didn't have a smoker or couldn't get to a smoker, you could easily put this in an oven, cook it at 225, and I'll tell you the rest of the process, and then it'll be the same pulled pork that you would have at a restaurant. You just won't get the smoke flavor as much, okay? Now, if you have a gas grill, you could easily, if there's 4 burners, let's say, you could either set this pulled pork butt on this side, on the right side, and then light the left side, all right? Put a temperature probe right next to your meat, and that should, and you can control the heat on this side to make this side feel like 225 degrees, all right? That's how you do it on a gas grill. Now, in the gas grill, you could also put a wood box where it smokes little wood chips to add that smoke flavor, all right? So we put this in the smoker. We smoke it to 150 degrees, internal temperature. So you would take a thermometer, you would stick it in, not near the bone, because the bone will throw a false reading on, because the bone gets hotter, so it'll throw a hot temperature on your thermometer, right? So you want to go right into the meat. The meat, when it's 150 degrees in our smoker, that's the end of it for smoking, all right? The meat can't take any more smoke after 150 degrees. If you think of it like a hamburger, right? You have these pores in the meat, and then as soon as you start to sear it, you've ever seen it start to curl up? That's because everything's shrinking. The same with this. Once it reaches 150 degrees, everything is kind of shrunk where it's going to go, and no more smoke can penetrate it. We put these in a cold smoker, like 0-degree temperature, and then we light it and bring it up. And the reason is because if anyone knows sausages or any of that type of charcuterie making, cold smoking is 0 to 100 degrees, and that's when you can put the most smoke into your meat, right? Like if you like a smoky flavor, then you want to start in a cold smoker, then light it. So 0 to 100 will get you your most smoke. And then it goes up to 225, and then we continue to cook it. Now, when it gets to 150, which is about 4 hours at 225, we take it out of the smoker, and we put it in tin foil, all right? And basically, you can see tin foil has 2 sides, a shiny side and a non-shiny side. Food contact is always with the non-shiny side, right? If you've ever put the shiny side down and then peeled it off like your potatoes or something, it leaves the shiny part on your food. All right, so you want to put all the food on the non-shiny side. Then we make basically a piece like this and a piece like this, like across. Put the pork butt in the middle, wrap it up. Then it can either go in an oven, it can go back in the smoker at 225, it can go on a gas grill, because once it's in the tin foil, basically what you're trying to do is break down the meat. All right, so as the meat continues to cook, the fat, intermuscular fat, continues to break down, and then that's when it gets soft. All right, so once it's wrapped, it's not getting any more flavor from the outside. That's why I say you can put it in an oven, you can put it in a gas grill, you can put it anywhere you want. You can put it back in the smoker. If you have the smoker running, it's no big deal. But it's not going to take any more smoke flavor on. When you get to an internal temperature, again, of 197 degrees, that's when the meat has fully broken down, and it'll just shred apart like you've seen on different commercials or whatever. And that's when you pull it, basically, all right? So you have to get above 191 degrees to get the meat to be easily pullable, all right? Anything below 191 will not pull. It'll be like pulling on jerky. All right, so once we get to 197, that's like the ideal temperature that I found for pulled pork. That's when we use it at the restaurant or competitions in general. And we get that scientific about what temperatures we cook at, how long we cook at, when we pull it, when we wrap it, everything. The good thing about barbecue is if you create consistency, then it'll be a great product all the time. So I have this finished version basically in this pan. And that oven's about 175 degrees, so it's not too hot. Just holding the pork. Now, when you cook in the tin foil, there's going to be a lot of juices that are in that tin foil, right? I would actually take this pan and put it in like a throwaway aluminum pan inside there, so the juices that come out of the pork stay in the pan. And you can see here, basically, the the juice is all in there. That's like the best barbecue sauce you can possibly have, right? It's all the natural pork juices that came out. And you can see how the rub has created this bark. And it's really like soft, right? So grab a fork here, and basically you can just shred it. And you can see the nice pink color, all right? That's the smoke going in there. And literally a fork will just shred this apart. Now once you shred it all, you'll put it into the sauce, into the juice. But Lillie, if you pick this up, like you literally just shred it with your fingers. All right? So at Windy City Smokeout, we offer what is called a walking taco, which is basically, it kind of started in Texas with Fritos, but they would put like Mexicans put the meats and everything inside the bag. So we kind of came up with our own little southern version for Windy City Smokeout. So basically we have a chip line. Lillie's Q has a chip line along with our sauce, and we do all southern flavors. So this is pimento cheese chips. So we literally cut the bag down the side instead of opening it by the top. Crush the chips up a little bit. We'll throw the pork in there. Then we'll grab our coleslaw, which obviously you have to have for southern barbecue. I literally, when I eat my pork sandwiches, it's called southern style. I actually put the saw on the sandwich. That's really the only way you can possibly eat it, in my opinion. So you put a little coleslaw in there with the pulled pork. Shred it all up. We'll add a little bit more pork in there. All right. And then one of our other sauces, which is smoky, it's a Memphis style sweet sauce. So it has a decent amount of sugar in it, and it's tomato based. It's probably our sauce that's most traditional to any other sauce or any local grocery store sauce. And then we just squirt smoky in there. And then we kind of serve it. So since you asked so many questions, we'll give you the taste of the walking taco Memphis style. So my dad is a pretty funny character, and he actually, since I call them walking tacos, he has to be different all the time. So he actually calls them Memphis sack lunches. It's really confusing because I'll put it on my menu and he'll change it down there, and someone will go down there and they'll be like, "Don't you have the walking taco?" He's like, "Yeah, it's called a Memphis sack lunch." Then he'll give his business card out and go and say, "Go in, tell Charlie that I said you eat free." And these people come walking in the restaurant. "Your dad said I could eat for free." So I'm expected to give all these people free food. So, yeah, he does this. There's a team actually coming to Windy City Smokeout called Peg Leg Porkers, and they cook next to us at Memphis in May. So he does the same thing to their restaurant in Nashville. He'll give his card and they'll go tell Carrie's the pit master, "Hey, Keto said I have a free meal here." So people will roll into Peg Leg Porker, which isn't even my dad's restaurant, and just say, "Hey, this guy said I eat free." So, but that's your walking taco. Obviously at Windy City Smokeout, we'll have it there. It's a great event. You definitely should come out. There's a lot of good bands, a lot of good barbecue, a lot of good extracurricular activities to hang out and have fun with. But pulled pork is really easy, man. It's just the butt, rub, to a certain temp, oven it, then back out at 197. So
awesome.
That's it.
Guys, Chef Charlie McKenna.